Have you noticed how expensive CARFAX reports have become? I recently started shopping for a used car, and every time I found a vehicle that looked promising, I wanted to check the history before making a decision. Seems reasonable, right? Then I looked at the price. One CARFAX report can cost around $45. The first report doesn't seem too bad, but then you find another vehicle you want to check and another, and suddenly you've spent over $100 just researching cars you might not even buy. That's when I started asking a simple question. Are there actually any good alternatives to CARFAX? After doing some research and comparing a few options, the answer is yes, but it depends on what you're trying to verify. Most people buying a used car don't need every possible data point. What they really care about are a few key things. Has the car been in an accident? Does it have a clean title? Has the odometer been rolled back? Has the vehicle been reported stolen? And are there any major red flags that could turn a good deal into an expensive mistake? Those are the questions I was trying to answer. The first alternative I looked at was AutoCheck. If you've spent much time shopping for vehicles, you've probably seen AutoCheck reports offered by dealerships. AutoCheck has been around for years and is owned by Experian. Many dealers actually use AutoCheck instead of CARFAX. One thing people like about AutoCheck is that it gives vehicles a score, making it easier to compare similar cars. Some buyers also prefer its auction history data. The interesting thing is that no vehicle history provider has perfect information. Sometimes CARFAX has records that AutoCheck doesn't, and sometimes AutoCheck has information that CARFAX doesn't. That's why experienced buyers often use these reports as tools rather than treating them as absolute truth. Next, I looked at VINCheck. VINCheck is useful because it's free. If you're worried about a vehicle being stolen or having a salvage history, it's worth running a VIN through their database. The downside is that it's much more limited than a paid report. It's a good starting point, but it's not really a replacement for a full vehicle history report. Then I started looking at newer alternatives. This is where things got interesting because my situation was probably similar to what many people experience. I wasn't a dealership. I wasn't buying 10 cars. I wasn't running reports every week. I just wanted to verify one vehicle before spending thousands of dollars. And that's where paying $45 for a single report started feeling hard to justify. What I wanted was straightforward. Give me the accident history. Give me the title information. Give me the ownership records. Give me the mileage data and tell me if there are any obvious problems. That's it. While researching alternatives, I came across VIN Panda. That's VIN Panda. What caught my attention was the pricing. Instead of paying full CARFAX prices, I was able to get a report for significantly less. Since I only needed one report, that made a lot more sense for my situation. More importantly, the report covered the information I actually cared about when evaluating a used car. I was able to review title history, accident information, ownership details, and mileage-related records before deciding whether to move forward. For someone making a one-time purchase, that felt like a much better value. Now, there's something important that many buyers overlook. No vehicle history report is perfect, not CARFAX, not AutoCheck, not anyone else. A vehicle can have damage that never gets reported. Repairs can happen without entering a database. Issues can exist that simply don't show up on a report. That's why a vehicle history report should never be the only thing you rely on. Even if a report looks clean, a pre purchase inspection from a trusted mechanic can save you from making a very expensive mistake. Think of the report as your first layer of protection. The inspection is your second layer, and together, they dramatically reduce the risk of buying the wrong vehicle. So, where does that leave us? If you're checking multiple vehicles and want one of the most recognized names in the industry, CARFAX is still a legitimate option. If you're comparing providers, AutoCheck is worth considering. If you want a free screening tool, VINCheck is useful. But if you're like me and only need a report for one vehicle, a lower cost option such as VIN Panda may be the better choice. The biggest lesson I learned during this process is that spending a little money on research can save you a lot of money later. Whether that's a CARFAX report, an AutoCheck report, or a report from VIN Panda, the goal is the same. Avoid buying a problem because discovering an issue before you buy a car is always cheaper than discovering it after you own it.